McGillivray at Medford City Hall celebrating the 40th year anniversary of his iconic run from Medford, Oregon to Medford, Mass. How does it feel reminiscing on this 40 years later?
I just feel old, I guess. No, but not really. I actually feel good. I'm very fortunate that even over the last 40 years, I've been able to continue my running and run the marathon and still feel good about it. So I'm really impressed with everything that the City of Medford is doing to sort of kick off this celebration, and look forward to running from here to Fenway Park with four-time winner of the Boston Marathon, Bill Rogers, with my son Luke, my friend Josh, and then running into Fenway Park as I did 40 years ago on August 29, 1978.
How does it feel 40 years later just to be back in Medford? What does the energy feel like today?
You know, for me, I'm Medford to Medford. That's why I did it. I might have moved out of Medford, but you can't take the Medford out of me. This is where it all began for me, growing up in this great city and going to school here, graduating from Medford High School, owning a store right down the street on Salem Street. I was co-owner with Jack Dempsey, Dave McGillivray Running and Sports Center, and then opened up my event management company 5 doors down. So this is where it all began, and this is how I got my start, and I'm deeply indebted to the city for allowing me to do what I did back then, and then inviting me back again 40 years later.
And could you tell us what it's like being the race director of the Boston Marathon?
You know, when I first ran it 46 years ago, I was just mesmerized by the fact that I'm running in the most iconic road race in the world, and then 15 years later, I get the opportunity to direct it. And what do I do? Do I run in it or do I run it? And basically I said, well, I love to direct it, so I took the job, and then I decided, well, maybe I can have my cake and eat it too, and I run it at night now after everyone's done, so I'm able to run in it and run it, so I get the best of both worlds.
And could you tell us a little bit about these new books that you have been putting out?
So I wrote a book 10 years ago called The Last Pick, and that's pretty much an autobiography, but just recently in March I launched my first children's illustrative book called Dream Big, because obviously when I was growing up here in Medford, I was little, but I had big dreams, and one was to run across America, which I did, and to run up the east coast of America and do a lot of these endurance events to raise money for those who are less fortunate. So that book is going really, really well, and I just wrote my second children's book, which will be published at the end of the year, called The Home Run, and that chronicles my run across the country and into Fenway Park.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to do this interview with us.
My
Good
pleasure.
luck today.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm here with Bill Rogers, 4-time winner of the Boston Marathon. So what does this mean to you? What does Dave McGillivray's impact have on you?
You know, Dave McGillivray and I were teammates for the Greater Boston Track Club back in the 70s. And when he did his run across the country, we were all like in the Greater Boston Track Club a little bit in state of shock. Like, what is he doing? But Dave always was like an ultra marathoner, beyond the marathon. You know, the greater the challenge, the more he was ready for it. And also the connection with Dana Farmer and the Jimmy Fund was there then. And Dave always had that kind of a feeling about running is great in many different ways. It's a competitive sport, but it has a lot of power beyond that. And I think that's what he was trying to express when he ran across the country. And so when he came into Fenway Park 40 years ago, I saw him come in, and it was like, I mean, what do you say to the guy except, of course, congratulations, but how can we comprehend running across the United States? 3,000 some miles, you know?
And how do you feel being here today, 40 years later?
You know, I salute Dave because he had the great courage to do something that was almost beyond belief that we could comprehend. But I think that's the way Americans are. We like a challenge, you know, and that's what made America truly a wonderful country. It was that Americans were willing to take on the great challenges in every way, shape, and form. Dave did with his running, and he's used his running in a lot of different ways. To build this group of DMSE. He's a Medford native. His family's from here, and so he has a lot of pride in his hometown. But he built his company DMC into the organization that runs the Boston, Marathon Day, Patriots Day, and everything, but also goes around the country and puts on races. And he's the best. He's number one at it. So if you can do that, you have what I call the eye of the tiger.
Yeah.
And that's the way runners are and track athletes are, but in a gentle way.
Well, thank you so much. Nice meeting you.
Thank you.
I'm here with Mayor Muccini Burke.
Well, we're just so thrilled to see one of Medford's own do so well, and what he's given back is even more importantly, not only a successful business, but then all the charity work that he does. It's just a fabulous reflection on the city of Medford and his roots here.
And what is the atmosphere like here today, and what does Dave McGillivray mean to Medford?
Oh my goodness, it's electrifying here. Just look around. Everybody's so excited. It's just a wonderful day to celebrate an anniversary. And, we get calls to City Hall every now and again from people looking for Medford, Oregon. So it's a funny thing, and they get calls from us. So it's a funny thing to celebrate the two Medfords that came together on that day 40 years ago.
And do you remember that day 40 years ago? What was going through your head?
I do, actually. I was a junior in high school, so I do remember it quite well. And just, it was such an exciting moment to know that someone, a counterpart basically, was doing something so magnificent. And then for it to be for the Jimmy Fund says it all. So we're just really, really proud. We're glad to be a part of this spectacle, I guess you could call it at this point. And just really proud of him and the work that he's done.
Well, thank you so much. And nice seeing you. I'm here with Medford High grad Hank. So what do you think of Dave McGillivray?
I grew up on Elm Street, which is up by Wright's Pond. The only place I've run in the last 45 years was the Brigham's and the Buttricks that was up across from the Flynn rink. And it was a long run, even though it was only a half a mile. Dave ran 3,400 miles from Medford, Oregon to Medford, Massachusetts in 1978. I've been to that part of the country once in my life on a plane. And after 5.5 hours, all I could do was hobble off the plane. It's a long flight. The fact that he ran cross country in 1978 for the Jimmy Fund, and 40 years later, he's raising another $100,000 and running to Fenway Park. I mean, the guy is a star. He is a star.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Go Mustangs.
Yep.
Welcome to Medford City Hall. On behalf of Madam Mayor Stephanie Muccini Burke, my name is Hank Morse. Medford resident, grew up at 50 Elm Street. I still live in Medford. I live on Alston Street in West Medford. And I went to the Davenport School up on Horn Ave and Bell Ave. That's right. Shout out to Miss LeBlanc, the fine principal of that school. And I'm 52 years old, but I can still remember back 40 years because I was in 6th grade at the Davenport School. And there was this crazy guy in his early 20s who was going to run across the country. And he lived right next door to the school. And his name was Dave McGillivray. Dave, not only is he still a gigantic celebrity to us, but you're 12 years old, 6th grade, he's running cross country. Now, I haven't spent a lot of time out on the West Coast, but I flew out there once, like a 5.5 hour flight. That's a long flight. And I was, ladies and gentlemen, one of the all-time greatest marathoners in the history of the world, and a 4-time Boston Marathon winner, the great Bill Rogers is joining us right here. This is the picture of humble greatness right here. And Bill said to me a few minutes ago, he said, I've never run across the country. He said, but I drove across the country. It's like 3,400 miles. That's a long ride. The fact that Dave McGillivray ran over 3,400 miles is impressive. More impressive is the fact that he did it to benefit the Jimmy Fund. That's a guy with a big heart. So we are here to celebrate the 40th anniversary of Dave's run from Medford, Oregon to Medford, Massachusetts, and today he'll continue in to mark the celebration and run a lap around the hallowed Fenway Park. Now I can tell you firsthand that Dave's run from Medford to Medford ended up much better than the Red Sox did in 1978. All right? So without further ado, as we kick things off, ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Mayor of our fine city of Medford, Massachusetts, Madam Mayor Stephanie Muccini Burke.
Thank you, Hank. What a wonderful introduction. We are just so proud to have all of you with us today, his family and friends and the students from Medford High School, all to celebrate such a special commemoration. So Dave, hats off to you. We adore you. We're so proud to have you in our city. I also just want to take a moment. There's several elected officials that are here today, and just to acknowledge their presence. We have State Representative Christine Barber, House Leader from the State Representative Paul Donato. We have City Council President Rick Carviello, School Committee Member Mia Quinn Mastone, and School Committee Member Kathy Kretz. We also have our new Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Maurice Edward Vincent, with us today. Cheers to Dr. Maurice. Diane Caldwell is Associate Superintendent, and Christine Patterson is Associate Superintendent. So thank you all for coming and taking time out to be here. We are so honored when we got the call that DMSC Sports wanted to commemorate this 40th anniversary of the most spectacular run in the history of the country from Medford, Oregon to Medford, Massachusetts. And we have just been so elated since that first call and just so excited. And I want to thank everyone from your team and especially Lauren Felch from my team who has really orchestrated this entire day. So thank you all. I was 17 years old back in 1978. It was a really big deal. And so it just brings back such great memories from that day, and I'm sure these kids that are here today, the students of Medford High, will remember this day when they're a ripe old age of what I am now. So it was just a really spectacular event in the city of Medford. And so we are proclaiming, not only in Medford, Massachusetts, but Medford, Oregon, that on August 29th, 2018, the actual 40th anniversary, to be Dave McGillivray Day! You know, over the course of the last 5 or so years, we've had some tragedy that's hit our city, and no one experienced it more than Dave did. And what we found out, though, is that not only are we Medford strong, Boston strong, Mass strong, that we're a compassionate group of people, and we came together in such time of need. And all of that happened because of your leadership, Dave. And you really made the next year such a positive statement to those that lost lives and lost loved ones. And so we are forever in your debt for making Boston the strongest city in the country. Thank you. So, we have a couple of proclamations here. I don't want to really, I could go through and we'll eat up a lot of time, and you can read them at your leisure, but we have one from the mayor of Medford, Oregon, Gary Wheeler, who has sent his thoughts to you today. We have myself, and we have one from the governor as well on behalf of the state. But we did something a little special, so if you could just come over. I'd like to, number one, present you with these proclamations that you can read, but also if you could just step over, because everyone, if you could just tune in over here. We have a little bit of an unveiling to take place here because he really is Medford's strong blue and white, as you can see him proudly wearing our zip shirts. And we want to commemorate this for everyone to see and everyone experience and know that this is your birthplace and this is what Medford is all about, giving back. So Dave, if you could join me. Oh, wow. McGillivray. It speaks volumes, Dave. So we're just super proud of this young man, and we wish him many years of success. And come home whenever you can and come visit, because we adore you. Thank you.
Wow. I've never been at a loss for words. That's amazing. As long as it's not my gravestone, right? So who was here 40 years ago? You're showing your age. Who was not even born 40 years ago? So first, thank you, Mayor Burke, Warren, Hank, my good buddy Ron Kramer for putting this all together. Friends, the cross-country team, the band. I feel like it's Thanksgiving. I'm at the Medford-Malden game with the band here. Just all the dignitaries that are here. Friends like Jim Greeley from Merrimack and the coach, Lou. And in particular, of course, my own family, wife Katie and kids, Luke and Chloe and Ellie, brothers and sisters, Alan, Bob, Denise. Just so many friends and so many memories. What I love about today is I didn't have to run 3,400 miles to get here. I think I'll keep doing it this way. But for me, growing up in Medford, as Hank said, I was born on Billings Ave, South Medford, moved up to North Medford, went to Davenport School, the Roberts Junior High School, Medford High School. You know, and that's really where it all began for me, because as you can tell, first of all, can you see me over this lectern? I'm not the tallest guy on the planet, and I always wanted to be one thing and one thing only growing up in Medford, is I wanted to be an athlete. I wanted to play second base for the Boston Red Sox. But just the way things work out, sometimes they don't always happen the way you want it. And so I started running because nobody can cut you from running. You just run. And I've run about 150,000 miles since I started here in Medford. I think I've run every single road in this city. And even though I moved out of Medford, I might be able to move out of Medford, but you can't take the Medford out of me. And after that run across America, you know, I wasn't sure what I would do, and I actually got fired from my job, which was a defining moment and the best thing that ever happened to me, because then I opened up an athletic footwear and clothing store right on Salem Street with my good buddy Jack Dempsey. We were co-owners in the store, and you know, then I started putting on events to promote the store, and I realized I liked putting on events more than shoes on people's feet. And I opened up the sports enterprise business, and then started directing events, and got the job of being the director of the Boston Marathon, and since then have directed over 1,100 events all over the world, and 99% of them for those who are less fortunate. You know, I've always felt that when I decided to run across America, I was working at the John Hancock Tower at the time, and I saw Fenway Park, and I saw a sign out in right field, and the sign said, "Help make a dream come true, support the Jimmy Fund." So I called the Jimmy Fund up, and I talked to Ken Coleman, who was the voice of the Boston Red Sox at the time and the executive director of the Jimmy Fund. And I said, "Hello, Mr. Coleman, my name is Dave, and I want to run across the country for the Jimmy Fund." Well, after he picked himself up off the floor, he said, "Sure, let's do it." And then was solidified the deal. the deal that I would run across America for the Jimmy Fund. And I went and I saw those Jimmy Fund kids, and I knew at the time that the battle that I was about to fight by running over 5.5 million footsteps across America was in no way as difficult as the battle that these kids are fighting for their own life. And why are they sick and I'm not? Not that we should be, but I just felt like life is about giving back. It's about helping those who are less fortunate, and that's the way I've lived my life ever since, the last 40 years. And I was very fortunate to be able to turn a hobby into a business. And just like what that says, I always felt that the worst injustice we could ever do to ourselves is to underestimate our own ability. And those who say it cannot be done should not interrupt those who are doing it. So for me, to be back here where it all began, and this city gave me the one thing that every one of us here needs in life, and that is a chance. I just want a chance to do what I know deep down in my heart I can get done. So I just honestly want to say to you, Mayor, and the Mayor before you, Michael McGlynn, and just the city has always supported me through thick and thin. It's not always easy. We always have these hurdles to jump over and whatnot in life. No one's immune. It's not always easy, but we're able to, with a support system, it's all about those who you surround yourself with. For me right now, it's my family. My brother Alan's here too, and it's just everyone who supports me so much. So I just want to say to those of you in the city of Medford that I will never forget you. I will always remember you gave me the chance to do this. We've raised literally hundreds of millions of dollars for worthwhile causes, and I will continue to do that for the rest of my life. So looking forward to running with Bill Rogers. He was here 40 years. Can you imagine? He won the 1978 Boston Marathon, the best run in the world, and he would just come here on these stairs and greet me here, this little guy from Medford, and he's back again. So to you, Billy, thank you so much for being so friendly. But also I want to say, oh, there he is. I also want to say to the Medford Police, to the state police, law enforcement, they give their lives for us. They dedicate their lives for us. And given what's happened over the last months and years, the fact that you folks are here just to help us out too means an awful lot. So a round of applause for our public safety and law enforcement officials. Really means a lot. All right, we got 7 miles to go. It's going to be Billy, myself, Josh Nemza, my good buddy. Ron's going to lead the way, and most especially for me is my son, Luke McGillivray, 12 years old. He's going to run. Hey, maybe he'll run across the country. None of my life has anything to do with it. So thank you very much. Fenway Park, here we come. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. So I have more in common with Dave than if you look at us, we look like a 10 if we stand side by side. I went from Billings Ave to North Medford too, except I was at Bob's and I went up to Buckets at the corner of Elm Street and Fulton. You did it the right way. Do want to recognize the athletic director of the city of Medford, fine Bob Maloney. Mike Nesser, the head baseball coach at Medford High. Proud of the Medford baseball roots that I have here in the city, and we do have a couple more presentations for you. I'd like to invite up Medford City Council President Rick Carviello. You can probably guess that Ricky and I are not running with the group.
Thanks, Hank. First of all, it's an honor and a privilege to be here to pay homage to a fellow classmate, Dave McGillivray. And how many people ever put something down in the yearbook and actually fulfill what they wrote in the yearbook? I just want to read you a quick thing what Dave wrote in his yearbook made way back in 1972. He wrote down, hold on, let me find it here. Dave McGillivray, intelligent, well-mannered, athletic, likely to succeed. Dave's ambition was, and he wrote, this is Dave's quote, to do for my children what my parents have done for me, and to run the Boston Marathon. Dave not only runs the Boston Marathon, but he actually runs the Boston Marathon. both ends. David, it's a privilege to be your friend. Thank you.
Thank you, Council President Carviello. And next, another Medford running legend. I don't want to make him feel old, but he was my phys ed teacher at one time, the great Lou Ruggiero. He looks good, too. There must be something to that running. Come on up.
Thank you, Hank. That was a few years ago. Dave ran cross country for 4 years at Medford High School. On behalf of our cross country team and myself, I'd like to give him a Medford cross country shirt. Remember the old days. And congratulations, Dave.
Thank you, Mr. Ruggiero. This time I would like to invite Medford High School senior Leica Tavari to sing our national anthem along with the Medford High School band. Please give them a nice big round of applause.
Dawn's early light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streamed, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. It's a momentous occasion, 40 years after Dave set out to run Medford, Oregon to Medford, Massachusetts. And I made a mistake. I didn't give you enough credit, Dave. It was actually 3,452 miles. Every mile counts, especially when you're raising money for the Jimmy Fund. You can also go on to Dave's page, dmse.com, and make a donation to the Jimmy Fund and Dave's terrific effort. At this time, the Medford High School Marching Band, give them a great big round of applause as they kick off Dave's run from City Hall to Fenway Park. Congratulations and thank you, Mr. McGillivray.
80 days.
80 days.
Yeah. For the Jimmy Fund. You know what the Jimmy Fund is? Of course you do. You're going to run from third base right to home plate, right? Me and you. Yeah. Feel it. All right? Deal? Oh, look, you're going to wear one of your shirts. Get your running shoes on.
I know. Shoes. Hi, boys.
Your gloves, I used to do
He brought along a few pairs of running shoes and a 3-man support crew and ran about 3,542 miles back to his hometown of Medford, Massachusetts. In his professional life, he is the race director of the Boston Marathon, and this past week, he put 64 more miles on his running shoes and bike for the Jimmy Fund on his annual birthday run. Won't you please welcome as he heads towards home plate,